Okay, I just pressed go live on YouTube, so hopefully this should be going live. And I'm just gonna wait for a little bit so that I can verify on my phone that is that it is indeed streaming. So we'll get started in just a second. Okay, stream did start. Nice. Okay, cool. Since this will be recorded, I'm not gonna spend too much time waiting for people to join. And if you missed something, then you can always check it out by rewinding. We'll be here for at least 30 minutes because that's about the size of the content I prepared for today. But after that, we can do some live coaching if people are interested, and if not, you can have your time back. Okay, so let me just start talking about why I created this class. So if you're part of my email community, you probably know I've been doing procrastination work for quite a bit now. Actually, let me press record on my computer. Let's see. Okay, just make some room for my video. Okay, so recording on my computer. Okay, so the reason why this class came to happen is because since the starting of my coaching business, procrastination has always been one topic that I struggled with. And in coaching, we like to solve specific problems instead of like, hey, fix your life or whatever, because that's too vague, right? And the specific problem that I have is chances are a lot of other people have too. So procrastination, for example, filing my business license and preparing materials to do, and then recording myself on YouTube and writing emails and such, everything. I went through a phase of just really having a hard time working on that, right? And then so I came across and got myself educated around thought work. Okay, how can I think about this differently? I got some physical techniques that you probably saw on my YouTube channel if you're a subscriber already. And then I came to create this kind of a methodology about action that's not just solely focused on procrastination, right? Whether you're procrastinating or not, or whether you're doing it and whether you're effortlessly doing it or whether you're really struggling to do it, it's all an outcome of the same process. There's nothing unique about procrastination that happens because you're a sucky person, because you're lazy and motivated, right? It's follows the same formula. It's all the same logic underneath, and the different parameters for that formula determine whether your action is flowing out of you or not. And so the goal of the class is to basically show you what that formula is, and let's get into that. I think that's enough of a prep talk from me. So here we go. Boom. Okay, so since I do want to have some kind of an indicator, I'm just gonna leave the slides here open. Um, but this should be good enough to talk through. So, action formula. This is the definitive guide in getting things done. I truly believe this is, my best work when it comes to procrastination and tackling actions in general. Now, if you, the goal for this class is simple. We just want to learn how to make actions flow out of you with no need for things like effort, motivation, and inspiration and discipline, right? As a society, we like to place a lot of value on those things. Like, oh, effort, motivation, inspiration, discipline. You have to, like, even though you don't feel like doing it, you gotta do it for the sake of consistency, and that determines whether you're successful or not, right? And my philosophy is that, you know, if you're not doing it, you probably don't want to do it. And if you want to do it, you're gonna do it, effortlessly because you're kind of an intelligent person, right? That's my overall idea, and I want to demonstrate how that's possible with this formula. And my only prep work that I requested from my email people is that number one, I want you to think of this. If you're watching this on demand, I want you to think of this. If it were easy and effortless, what would you like to get done? Like, what do you want to do? Now, this can be as simple as like I would like to cook for myself more often. It can be something like I want to take my kids out to like sports more often. I want to go to the park more often. I want to walk my dogs more frequently. Like those things, right? You probably have an idea about like doing something, but you don't do it because it doesn't feel easy. It feels like you have to put a lot of effort in, right? That's the first question. And the second is, right now, it's difficult and you don't want to do it because you think it is what? It's tedious to walk my dogs so often. Um, it's tiring for me to go to the park so frequently. And I don't want to like cook because fire is scary and knives are scary. All of those things, right? Basically, I want you to think about if you're not doing something, why not? Because there's an intelligence on that. And now, I forgot to mention that I do my best to read the chat. So if you need me to go back and explain something in more depth, or if you just want to like say hi, feel free to do so. Okay, now moving on. This is the actual formula, right? And so yeah, it's a lot of math, and it can be pretty intimidating if you don't really like math. And honestly, I don't think a lot of us do. But I just want to simplify it and help you understand what I want to achieve with this formula, right? So, number one, this action is something minus something. That's all you basically need to know. It's something minus something. And when I break it down into English, it's basically when the desire to do something is bigger than the unwillingness to do something. Okay? That's it. That's all there is to it. And basically, if this part is bigger than this, because this is a subtraction, then you're gonna do stuff. If this is equal to this, then it's gonna be 0. If this is smaller than this guy, then it'll be minus, right? And what does that mean in terms of our actual life and not math? When the result is high positive A, that means the action is effortless. It just streams out of you. You don't need to exert effort into this, right? Now, anytime the A is above 0, which means anytime the desire is greater than the unwillingness, then you have action going. But it may be begrudgingly done, or you may have to sort of force yourself to do it, but still, something is being done. And then 0 is what I call the clean detachment. It's like me playing the flute. I have no interest in playing the flute. Because of that, I don't want to, and at the same time, I don't really feel bad about not wanting to play the flute, so it's a clean break. I don't give a second thought about it. And now, negative A is the part where it gets interesting, and that's when actions become an energy sink. So, not only are you not doing the thing, but it takes as much energy as if you were doing it, because you're spending a lot of time thinking about it. You're spending a lot of like worries thinking about it. And that's why 0 action and negative action, the outcome is the same. Nothing is getting done. But when the A is negative, it just feels really, really bad. And now, since that's a simplified version of the formula, now what are these things, right? So I want to introduce you to them, but like words first. D is desire, H is hype, P is perfectionism or pressure, U is unwillingness, and G is guilt and shame, right? So instead of thinking about all of this as like a parameter in the formula, I want to give you a story of these characters. And these characters live inside of your mind. And now you think it's you alone thinking about the action and then making decisions, right? But in reality, when you look at it, when you observe what's happening in your consciousness, there's always different characters in play. Oops, forgot, dropped some stuff. But yeah, there's always a bunch of characters in play, and I want you to examine action as a team effort of these characters inside of your consciousness. And this is why I worked with an artist. Her name's Riri Flawley. I don't know if I'm correct pronouncing that right, but this is why I worked with an artist, because I want this to feel personal to you. Okay. Now, the first and foremost, the most important protagonist of your journey in terms of action is desire. So desire is like this little kid, right, who finds excitement in anything and everything. Desire is the protagonist of your action story. They want to do everything, right? And yeah, sometimes it might be difficult, and sometimes it might be dangerous or risky, but at the same time, desire doesn't matter. Desire doesn't care about those stuff. Those are things for other characters to think about. Desire is this, like, because it's a character, very like strong-willed and determined and made solely for this purpose of wanting to do something, right? And desire is just about you. Like, oh, I want to do something for me. Like, for example, I want to play the bass because it's fun for me. I like playing instruments. I like making music. At the same time, desire can be for other people too, right? So I may not want to go to college, but my parents want me to go to college. And while just thinking about my life, I don't want to go to college. At the same time, I don't want to make my parents unhappy because of my decision. And so I'm going to follow the desire to make my parents happy, right? So that is also desire. So desire is, like, in your consciousness, there's other characters, lots of different characters. But for action, desire is the most important character who we need to spend a lot of time with. And basically, getting something done is the story of desire beginning to wanting something and then being carried over to completion to have that thing done. And now, the most important character out of all of these is hype. Now, I want to kind of like make it simple. When you're not doing something, you're not excited about doing it enough. If you have enough excitement about whether you're doing the thing or the result that you want, that's when actions come out, right? So, depressed people, why don't they do stuff? Of course, there's a lot of like brain stuff happening, and there's a lot of life story that prohibited their genuine self from being expressed. But an important factor that's missing is excitement about their life. And so, whether it be going to college, whether it be getting your degree, whether it be getting a job, whether it be preparing your resume, if you're not doing it, you're not excited about it enough. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that is just a phenomenon of what happens, right? And because hype is so strong, hype is like this character who is Superman plus Iron Man plus Spider-Man and Batman and like basically all the superheroes. If you recall from the formula, the math stuff here, like these are all multipliers and dividers and additions, right? Hype is an exponential thing. Exponential growth is like whoop, right? So with enough hype, desire can fly to action. And that is the case even if you have reasons to not want it. And even with the guilt and shame, hype is still gonna win. And I think that's a very powerful thing to recognize. And now, with that, you know hype is important. So how do you like feel excited about stuff? Normally, we wait for things to happen so that we can react emotionally to them, right? Good thing happened, therefore I feel good. Bad thing happened, therefore I feel bad. But I want to tell you that you can summon feelings on demand because our brain has the capacity to do that. And so, summoning hype. There's lots of other ways to do it, but this way is the one I want to teach you today. If it was easy and effortless, and now that's the part we thought about, right? In the first preliminary questions. But if it was easy and effortless, and you finished it, what do you have as a result? We want to think about a specific result that we want. I prepare for my interviews. What's the result of that? I get a job offer. I get multiple job offers. I land that job and I sign the offer letter, and then I get insurance, and then I get benefits. I get discounts from stuff. That's pretty neat, right? When I used to work at Apple, I got a lot of like discounts for like laptops and whoa, all these restaurants and all these like insurance things. Like, oh, that was really nice. And I get to brag about my job, and I feel really happy about that. If you're thinking about social anxiety, like I have 10 friends I can text. Before I have 0, but because I act on my social skill and I talk to people, as a result, I have 10 friends I can text. I can have 10 friends I can hang out with. And from an abstract thing like, oh, I get healthy, I work out, I guess, I think about, I reach my desired weight. I reach my desired weight and my muscle ratio. When I look at my shoulder, I notice a bulge. And that feels good, right? And so, when we vividly imagine the results, specific results, that's when we can start feeling the hype, because that's what you would have felt anyway if the situation was actualized, right? So, if you're watching a horror movie, like the ghost isn't coming to like with a knife at you physically, but yet you feel scared. Jump scares, right? Like Annabelle isn't barfing in your face physically, but you still right? Because our body is the vessel in which we experience emotions. So, when we think of the stimulus, what is that offer letter gonna look like in your computer screen when you open your email client? When you step on that scale and the numbers go up, and it's that number that you've been wanting for a really long time, how's that gonna feel? We want to connect into that. And another thing is, we want to focus on becoming the person who does the thing, because now we borrowed hype, right? Yes, I got a job offer, and I have this success under my belt. I'm a really accomplished person now. I'm not a job seeker anymore. I have a job now. If you are already that person, how would you act? Right? That's something you can do today without having done all the actions. And the great thing is, when you are that person already, then it becomes so much easier to do the actions, because you're in the emotional zone to do the actions. You're not in the zone of, oh, everything's so hard and my life is so miserable. When it's hard, when you're feeling like that, it's really hard to get stuff done. But you're borrowing the hype from the future, which is going to make it so much easier to actually do the work. Okay? So, moving past the hype section, now we have perfectionism, right? So, perfectionism is a divider. It divides your desire and hype. And it sort of makes sense, right? Because to the perfectionist brain, doing something is not enough. It has to be perfect. And because there's a right way to do things and the wrong way to do things, and you don't want to do it the wrong way, it slows down action. Because you just have more checklists to fill out for the action to be considered done. So, what is cooking for myself? Like frying an egg. Or if you eat raw egg, that's preparing food for yourself, right? a lot of people eat raw eggs. But now, if you're like, no, that's not really food for like that's not cooking, so I need to blah blah like fry it. But maybe frying's not good if I need to like prepare a wok and a lot of oil, and I need to do it the Thai way, right? And I need to make it crisp. So it's just like that. You can see how that can delay action because you just need more things to prep, right? And now, perfectionism justifies itself by saying, hey, you know what? Like, it slows down action, but it makes things good. It makes the quality of the thing really good. And that's a good point, right? But I do want to tell you that when that thought knows no end, you're never gonna get anything done. So here's some food for perfectionism and pressure, right? Who you are today and what you produce today as an outcome of your action is exactly what you need it to be today. Right? So I read tarot cards. And tarot cards are like, there's like 78 cards, right? And now, if I think that I can't, do this because I don't know any cards, you're right, I won't. So what's the way of memorizing these cards? Like just one by one, right? But I might think that, I only know one card, I'm so stupid, right? But in order to know two cards, you need to know one. If I know half the card and I feel bad because I haven't memorized everything, well, how are you going to know the whole thing if you don't know half? So what I'm saying is, the struggles that you're going through today and the quality of the output that you put out that you're not satisfied today is exactly what you need in order to get to the desired state. So in that way, you're already perfect. So the example I have here is like, I want to be a doctor at 5 years old, right? And you're enthusiastic and you don't know anything about actually being a doctor. And then when you're in medical school, you probably have lots of different thoughts about being a doctor. And I'm having trouble studying to be a doctor, right? But if you're not at that point where you're having trouble, you can't really evaluate, like, do I really want to be a doctor? Or did I just want to be it without knowing all of this? Because now you can make an informed decision about whether you want to be a doctor despite all of this hardship. And without asking that question, you can't really know your path with the certainty that you will have when you have actually asked this question. So, at any point, even if you're not having difficulties, and even if everything is going pretty well, that's who you need to be at that time. Because a lot of people quit things when they're good, right? Because they find out, even when this does go well, I'm not really happy. So I want to tell you, especially if you're struggling with perfectionism, who you are today and what you produce today is exactly what you needed today. But I get it. Your brain may think of other things, but that's why I have upcoming more characters. So here we go. Unwillingness is this character who doesn't want to do anything. I'm sure we have some of those people in our lives. Maybe we are one of them. I don't want to do it. It's tedious. It's gross. It's too tiring. It's too hot. It's too cold. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so don't do anything, you say. But at the same time, you don't want to sit around doing nothing because that also gives you existential void. And not doing anything is also like participating in nothingness, right? And so unwillingness is that energy of not wanting to do anything. But there's always something to learn from unwillingness. Now, we think when we have unwillingness, we're lazy, right? Why am I doing? Why? I know this thing is good for me, but why don't I want to do this? And usually, there's a very intelligent way intelligent reason why you don't want to do it. So, what unwillingness usually tells us is you don't want to do the current form of the activity that is taking place in your mind. Maybe you don't want to exercise, right? Oh, but exercising is so like hard and it's so like sweaty. That means maybe you'd be more open to exercise if you did an exercise where you aren't really covered up in sweat, like swimming, right? So, unwillingness is telling us intelligent processes of what's going on in our mind, what's acceptable to me, what's not acceptable to me. And when you really listen to unwillingness, and specifically what the unwillingness, what the part is that really induces unwillingness, you can really have a lot of success at making things easier for you. Simply because now there's one less reason to hate doing stuff. And that is the power and wisdom inside unwillingness that we tend to overlook because we're so used to, drum roll, shaming ourselves. Guilt and shame is basically the plague of everything, not just action. If you've read my book about social anxiety, the social anxiety book is actually all about shame. Because I truly believe a lot of social anxiety can be found from shame that originated in the place of in the witness of other people. Guilt and shame tell us, you should have finished this a long time ago. Other people are doing it way better. Why are you this way? Why do you suck so much? What's wrong with you? You can't even do this? How the hell are you gonna be successful in your life when you're blah 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 blah? That's what guilt and shame does. And it is the biggest obstacle to moving from inaction to action. And it compounds everything, right? When you have a desire, you can feel shame around that. Why do I want those things? When you feel excited about something, you can feel like, why am I excited about this like really stupid stuff? When you have perfectionism, shame can come in like, this isn't perfect. This sucks so much. Why am I so bad at this? Unwillingness, you can have shame around it. Why do I not want to do anything? What's wrong with me, right? So, guilt and shame is something that can't really originate from yourself by yourself. It's always learned from other people who are shaming you. So, this is just a 2-point on dealing with guilt and shame, but we have to heal from our injury by witnessing ourselves with compassion. And my social anxiety book is basically going through the steps in doing this and explaining what this means in a lot of depth. But like a nutshell is, an injury is when we get slapped in the face by a stranger, and then you're like, whoa, what happened? That is the injury. And now other people are watching you get slapped, and then they tell you, what did you do to deserve that slap? You probably did something wrong. Oh my god, that guy's hand must hurt. Why are you just standing there like an idiot? You just got slapped. Go do something. Take care of yourself. That's what shame is. And that's what a shaming witness is. And that tells you that your experiences don't matter. You are just harmed, and you feel a lot of anger and resentment and a lot of like surprise. But you know what? That doesn't matter. And the more people do it, pile onto that shaming stack, the more you start invalidating your experiences. Right. Oh, yeah. Why am I so sensitive? Maybe this isn't that messed up. And how to undo that shame is to go back to those injuries and practice being the compassionate witness for yourself. Even when other people won't do it. Start believing in your voice and your experience and letting that voice out into the world. And trusting your own decisions and trusting that they are right, even when others say it's wrong. Again, this is a very heavy topic that has a lot of layers into it. So I recommend my book on social anxiety if you want to get deeper into this matter. And now the second point is, even your inaction and even your guilt and shame are intelligent outcomes from your brain, right? So what I'm saying here is that those things, these emotions that are really, really heavy on your soul, they're there for a protective reason. If you're socially anxious and you didn't have anxiety, you would go out and talk to people, and then potentially some people might judge you, right? Why is that guy so weird? What's wrong with his voice? And can you think of how devastating that would be to an anxious person if there wasn't that guardrail of feeling anxious? So when you're not doing something, you're in action, it may be a protection mechanism, because by doing something, something's gonna happen, and your mind is not ready for that. And so, yeah, can you look at it? Can you look at your inaction like you're a lazy bum and you suck? I guess. But at the same time, is it serving a really intelligent purpose in your life? Also, yes. So what I'm saying is, guilt and shame really have no place in your life when you really trust in yourself. And ultimately, that may be the journey of your mental health. But for the scope of action, I just want to introduce you to it, and because what's more important is hype is going to win anyway. Alright, moving on. Now, here's the conclusion of this lesson, right? So, you are not one individual for your thought, right? So, if you recall, our prep exercise was, right now it's difficult and you don't want to do it because I think it is blah, 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 right? Now, that was an individual thought you thought, right? But when we go here, now that you know these characters, you can think, I think writing my book is hard because it's so time consuming and I don't have enough time in my day. And you know what? If I write it, I don't think it's really going to have any value. So what's the point, right? But now, there's a difference between, okay, I think that, and I'm one monolith, and that's it. Compare that with desire. Thinks writing my book is fun because, writing words and, in a specific order is very fun because there's so many possibilities of saying one thing. There's so many different ways of saying some stuff, and that's interesting to me. And me having my own book published with my name, that's kind of cool, right? So desire thinks those qualities of writing the book. Hype thinks my finished book will be what? Hype can think that, it's in the hands of other people and I make a name for myself. I get to unironically call myself an author. That's so cool. I get to see my name on Amazon Kindle and in bookstores. Oh my god. I thought that was reserved for special people, but that's available to me. Holy crap. Right? What would perfectionism think? Perfectionism wants my book to have these qualities. I want it to be not too long because I want it to be sort of an easy read, right? But at the same time, it needs to have some essence of a deeper thing so that if people are interested, they can go dive deeper, right? So that's what perfectionism can think. Unwillingness can think that, you know what? I don't want the book writing process to be so linear, because then I have to think of the table of contents first, but what if I change my mind and intelligence in that, right? And guilt and shame thinks that the whole effort is like, what's the point? You know, why? No one's gonna like it anyway because I suck. So now, you're the director of this cast, this ensemble. And it's your job to write the story where the desire can reach the finish line with the team effort. It's not just a you decision anymore. And now when you look at your action from these 5 different angles, you can assess the parts of you that may have been that you have been blinded to because of unwillingness and perfectionism and shame. And that's the whole point of this discovery, to rekindle your relationship with desire and hype. That's really all I want you to learn from this. So, when you're working with this team, instead of considering yourself as this one monolith, how does your perspective on action change? Now, does this mean that everyone will unconditionally do everything now? No. But like I said, you may not act after this presentation. But even that, again, is intelligence. There's a reason behind your inaction. And now you have the tools to examine that. And you can examine whether you're excited about this stuff after all. You can examine whether you have desire for this after all. And that's clean break, right? So what I want is for you to either do something with explosive effortlessness or just have a clean break. You know what? I assessed this. I don't want to do this. Goodbye. I don't need to worry about that anymore. So now you have all this energy left because you don't have the mental drama of doing things that you don't want to anymore. So now, what are you going to do with that extra energy? I recommend jujitsu, but that's just me. So, next step, right? What's the smallest thing you can do in order to get to your specific result? So going back to the earlier examples, interview prep, right? You can do one mock interview with your dog. If you're social skills, you have one unnecessary conversation at the checkout line when you're shopping for groceries or whatever. If you're weight loss, you try and eat one less bite of everything. The small step is so important because it conditions your mind to making incremental steps. And like I said, every step is perfect anyway. So making the smallest thing, and it has to be believable. So you might think, so from my experience, I might think doing one mock interview with my dog may be simple. But to you, it may not be. And you know your life the best. So if this is unbelievable for you, make it even smaller. Answer one question that you ask yourself. If that's unbelievable, something smaller. If having one unnecessary conversation at the checkout line is overwhelming, just be in proximity to someone. Even that too much? Okay, make 1 second of eye contact with somebody. Even that's too much? Make 1 second of eye contact with a streamer like me. I don't know, maybe you can do it with me right now. If one bite of everything is too hard, maybe just one less gulp of the soda. That can work, right? As long as it's believable to you. And that's my recommended next step because it hits all the marks, right? You're listening to desire. You're making one step closer to hype. Perfectionism doesn't really have to step in this because it's so small. There's nothing to be good or bad about. Unwillingness, you're trying to find out whether this is like unwillingness. Like, is there something bad? Okay, believable because of unwillingness. Unbelievable because of unwillingness. You can measure that. Guilt and shame really has no place because again, this is so trivial, right? And now, quick recap. Your action can be assessed and done from a team effort instead of you as one monolithic thing. Imagining specific results invites hype, and small believable steps overcome the perfectionism. We want to learn from our unwillingness, and we want to heal from our shame. I hope that made sense to everyone. Surprisingly, no questions, which I making it mean that I'm doing a really good job at explaining things, or people are just leaving this on audio. But doesn't matter. Are you watching this? Do you want more? Just like how you can summon a team inside of your mind, you can team up with a life coach to make your actions happen too. So basically, I did a lot of talking by myself, right? Imagine talking with someone about this and walking through, asking questions so that you can explore what's happening inside of your mind, right? That will definitely help. Hiring a coach is much more than solving just individual problems, which I am happy to do too, but coaching can really you can really architect the life you want and consistently work towards your desired results. And it doesn't have to be hard. That's my whole motto. So if you're interested, you can email me at billy@julylifecoach.com to schedule free trial sessions. And just gonna write that on the chat. And moreover, the action formula is gonna be its own book. It's gonna cover today's lessons with so much more knowledge around the topic of action, and it's gonna be released in about 2 months. Because I self-publish, I have freedom on when I want to publish it, and it's like 60% all done. So it's just up to me to do more artwork with my artist. Again, her name is Riri Flowey on Twitter, and I want you to, if you're interested in learning more about my methodology using the action formula, this is my recommendation. And if you are interested in staying in touch so that you can learn when the book is published, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, which I would really appreciate, or you can go to my anti-procrastination guide and social anxiety guide on my website. On the website, there's also a there's also a form you can fill out to sign up for my email list. I really think my email list is my best material, and my email list is gonna get the first dibs on everyone. I always release a lot of free and early access stuff to my email list. So if you're interested in mental health and procrastination or social anxiety or whatever, unlocking the potentials of your life, check out my website. It's great. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna write that down in chat. All right, and that concludes my lesson on the action formula. Wow, my my throat is almost giving up. Yeah, this was my first community class, and by that I mean I just invited a lot of people, especially my email list, and not for some reason, this is a pretty big deal for me. And then yeah, I was pretty nervous at the beginning, but I think once things passed on, I think I covered everything that I wanted to in the pace that I wanted to. So all in all, pretty good. And I'm just gonna hang around here for a little bit until I can see if people have any questions. But if not, I'm gonna end the stream pretty soon. I'm gonna stop recording now. Oh, I get so hot when I coach. Must be a lot of energy in me. Okay, I can see that my stream side is okay around the time I ended my presentation, so good. Just looking for a little bit. What can I show people? Yeah, I don't have a ton of things to share with you at the moment, but maybe that's good because now I know I can. Now I know I can prepare something. Ali, I was just checking your message on Discord. Thank you for the support, my friend. Glad to have you here. And all right, looks like there will be no questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining live or in the recording. Um, if you want help with your life, please don't hesitate to contact me, Billy at JulyLifeCoach.com, or check out my website, sign up for my emails at www.julylifecoach.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you.